Hello everyone, my name is Roy King with Custom Computer Detailing out of Natchez, Mississippi. Natchez being spelled N-A-T-C-H-E-Z, Mississippi. My business is Custom Computer Detailing, and that's my phone number, 601-870-5372. I'm a retired U.S. Army Computer Software Systems Analyst Supervisor, E7. I was in the military for about 22 years. The Army sent me to a computer school in 1997, so I've been a computer software systems analyst since 1997. All right, so we're going to get into the specifications, the hardware specifications of the computer that's before me at this time. And the first thing I want to point out is this is an HP laptop. It is a ProBook. It's a model 650, if we can see up there in that corner, 650. And it is either a Generation 1 or Generation 2 version of this model. It has a Intel Core i7 processor, CPU processor in it. It was originally built as a Windows 7 Pro 64-bit and now has Windows 10 Pro 64-bit installed. It does have a built-in webcam up here at the top. And it has the buttons on the front. It has a on-off for the Wi-Fi. And it has a mute button for the audio. On this side over here, it has an on-off button for the power. And really, it's just an on button because you never use that to turn it off with. You would use the software to turn it off. This over here is a biometric fingerprint reader. I don't have the biometric software installed on here for it to read your fingerprint. It'd be like if you had an embedded, you could use your fingerprint as a password to get past the Windows lock screen if you had that set up. This has a touchpad with buttons above and buttons below. I think that is going to be most of the special features on the actual keyboard face. On the side of the laptop, I have over here, starting on this side, I have the 3.5mm audio jack for plugging in your headphones. I have two USB, I'm assuming 2.0 jacks. I have a display port jack for a video out. I also have a VGA video output port for video out. So I have two video output ports. This is just the vent for the cooling. The fan is going to sit right here and it's going to force heat out. Looking on the back, I have a hole here that looks like that might be for an old style modem, like a telephone type modem. Not real sure that it even has any contacts in there. I just kind of see the shape of a jack, but it looks like it's too small for an RJ45 Ethernet cord, but it might fit a phone type cord. Not sure what this is here for. This is going back old school. Not something that you're going to use there typically. On this side, we have the power port location. We have the Ethernet port for the RJ45 Ethernet cable. We have two USB 2.0 ports, and we have a special USB port here as well. This one has a special symbol above it, so I'm not real sure what that special symbol represents, but it does have that. It has a port here for your SD card. If you had a memory card, like from a trail cam or something, you could plug it in there and see your pictures. And then over here, we have a place to insert like a military CAT card, which would be like your ID badge in the military, but it's also a computer card built in. Now this door right here, this would typically be your door access door for your DVD/CD drive that you'd have a button, you'd press it and it would pop out. This is just a fake door though. There is no DVD/DVD, CD/DVD drive in this computer. And there are no buttons on the front. There are some lights, but no buttons. So these lights indicate that the laptop is currently in the powered up position, and there are no additional buttons on the front. On the bottom, we do have something special on the bottom. This right here is a connection for plugging this particular laptop into a HP docking station. And we have an HP docking station with dual screens, a external keyboard and external mouse that we're going to plug this into shortly. So we're going to demonstrate how this works here in just a few minutes. This is the release buttons for the not only the battery but also this bottom panel here. We're going to open this up in just a second, but because the laptop is on, before I open this up, I'm going to turn it off. Now you notice the screen flicker in the video. When I'm looking at this with the naked eye, I see no screen flicker, but there is a screen flicker in the video. Just disregard the screen flicker. So it will appear in the video just because it's shooting video. So I'm shutting it off. I'm going to wait for my lights to go completely off, and then I'll know it's completely powered down. All right, so it's powered down. I'm going to turn it over. I'm going to pull these two buttons out completely. My battery releases. I don't want to film that because I don't want people stealing my Windows 10 product key. I can use my Windows 7 product key to activate my Windows 10. All right. So here is the actual innards of the laptop. This is a 250 gigabyte Intel brand SSD hard drive. This SSD hard drive is 30 times faster than a traditional hard drive. So great upgrade. Apparently the government did this. Either they ordered this solid state hard drive from the factory or it was upgraded later. I'm assuming it was upgraded later. This is our system RAM right here. This is 2 sticks of 8 gigabytes each of system RAM. It is PC3L 12800 RAM if I remember correctly. So 2 sticks of 8, which is 16 gigabytes. That is a ton of system RAM in a laptop. This is our one cooling fan inside the laptop, and it's right next to our cooling ports on the side. This is our little Wi-Fi card. It does have some locations to plug some additional devices in wirelessly that aren't enabled yet. So because this is a business class HP laptop, it has a lot more functionality than you would see in a laptop that you purchased at Walmart or Office Depot. This would probably have been a $2,000 laptop when it was factory new. All right, so I'm putting the cover back on and snapping it into place, and I am putting the battery back in, and we are going to turn it on and talk about some stuff. So I'll raise it back up, cut that off, and back on again. So it takes this computer about 20 seconds to go from power off to fully booted up. That's fairly fast for a laptop. Again, we'll call it a glorified i5 processor, not a true i7 processor, and I'm going to explain why here in just a second, as soon as we get it booted up. So I have it listed as new owner because I don't know the name of the person that's going to purchase this particular laptop right now. Again, the screen flicker that you see in the video is not visible with the naked eye. It is only visible in the video. So disregard the, well, try not to have a seizure first of all while you're watching this flicker. And disregard it in terms of it being something that you're going to notice if you actually were sitting in front of the laptop itself. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here to my start button, and you'll notice in the start button there's a little seashell there. That seashell represents a special program that I installed to the computer. It's called Classic Shell. And what Classic Shell does is it gives you this traditional start box. Without that special program, if I clicked on that bottom corner, it would look like this. So when Windows 8 came out, it was horrible. They didn't have a start button down there. And then they finally decided they had to add it back because it was just throwing everybody on the bus. And the first several versions of that start button were horrible. And as Windows 8 progressed to 8.1 and eventually to Windows 10, the start button kept getting better and better, but it was never as good as what they had with Windows 7. So Classic Shell just replicates what used to exist with Windows 7. So we're going to come and click on the Classic Shell, and we're going to type the word in the search box down at the bottom. We're going to type the word run. And up here at the top where it lists the programs that have the word run in it, we're going to select this top one right here. And that opens up this box here where it says run. And if we zoom in just a little bit, we can see that I've typed in the past, I've typed in the word msconfig. msconfig stands for Microsoft Configuration. All right. So I'm going to click OK. I've got my wife here helping me with an extra set of hands, so we're multitasking. I'm hitting OK. That brings up this new box which says System Configuration right here, and it opens to the General tab. We want to come over to the Boot tab. Boot tab is going to tell us what the computer is going to use when it goes from the BIOS software to the Windows software. So the BIOS software is basic input output. What does the S stand for? Services maybe? I don't know. Anyway, just having a brain blank at the moment. But anyway, the BIOS software launches first, and then Windows comes in right behind it. When the Windows software launches, it's going to use, typically it's set to one subcore processor to launch Windows. But when I hit the advanced options, I can actually tell it to use all available processors to launch Windows. I don't think it actually launches it any faster, but this is a good way to see how many subcore processors you have. So in this case here, we can see that it's set to launch all 4 processors, and there's only 4 available. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, if this was a true Intel i7 processor chip, there would be 8 available subcores there instead of 4. So that's why I say this is a glorified i5 and not a true i7 processor. And so I really didn't make any changes here, but it's going to ask if I want to restart. And I'm going to say exit this screen without restarting, because we really haven't changed anything. All right. So that's why, even though this is an i7 stickered laptop, this is really a souped up i5 laptop. And let's go back into where it says this PC up here. All right, so where it says this PC, I have this shortcut on the desktop. I click on that, and it's going to show me the screen here. Now, the first thing I want to point out is the size of the hard drive, the solid state drive that's in there. It says 237 gigabytes. This is not a 237 gigabyte solid state hard drive. They don't make a 237 gigabyte solid state hard drive. This is a 256 gigabyte solid state hard drive. What happens is, when the computer prepares that solid state hard drive for usage, it has to format it. Think about formatting like going in and putting city streets into a new neighborhood that doesn't have any houses yet. The streets themselves and the lines where the sewer is going to run, the water is going to run, all of your frontages, that isn't really part of somebody's yard. That is just kind of like general areas. Well, same is true with a hard drive. When it's formatted, it loses some space because you have to put roads in. So kind of create that visual picture in your head. So 256 gigabytes turned into 237 gigabytes after it's formatted. All right. So the next thing we're going to look at is up here where it says computer. And I'm going to click on computer. And then I'm going to come over here. It loaded a new screen. I'm going to click on system properties, and it's going to tell me a little bit more about the computer. So on this screen, it says your PC is monitored and protected, and down below under device specifications, it's going to tell us a little bit about the processor. So we said it was an i7 processor. It's an Intel Core i7-4610M CPU chip. And we've already identified that that's only a 4 subcore processor chip. We can also see the clock speed of that processor. Notice the clock speed is running at 3 gigahertz clock speed. So each one of those subcores is running at 3 gigahertz. So how many subcores it has and the clock speed of those subcores is very important in terms of how robust or how crappy your CPU is. This is a pretty good CPU, but if it was a 8 subcore running at 3 gigahertz clock speed, I'd be much more impressed than if it was a 4 subcore processor. So like I said, the sticker kind of gives us the impression that we have more than what we have here, but we'll call that i7 really a glorified i5. Now the 16 gigs of RAM that we see right here, we've seen those two 8 gigabyte sticks when we had the back cover off. That is a lot of RAM to have in a laptop. So 16 gigabytes of RAM is wonderful. The last thing that we're going to look on this screen is we're going to scroll down just a little bit, and we're going to look at the operating system. Notice it's running Windows 10 Pro, not Windows 10 Home, but Windows 10 Pro. Pro has a lot of features built into it. It's the best version of Windows 10 to have. And there are things that Windows 10 Pro can do that Windows 10 Home cannot do. So this was a government computer. They paid the extra money to get the Pro version. It originally came as Windows 7. I can upgrade the Windows 7 to Windows 10 and apply the licensure from Windows 7 to Windows 10. It uses the same licensing key. So this computer, I haven't activated the license for this one yet, but I will before I sell it. So it will be a licensed version of Windows 10 Pro. All right, so what else can I say about this particular computer? Oh, it does have Bluetooth built in. If we look down here, we can see the little Bluetooth symbol. So not all laptops have Bluetooth built in. This one does. It also has the graphics processing unit chip in there, or the GPU chip is an Intel chip, and it has special Intel software to help with the graphics. And this is the little thing for the touchpad that I'm touching right now as my mouse. And then the only security software that is in the computer right now is part of Windows. It is Windows Security. It does have the factory battery in it, and the battery is doing well. It says that we have 5 hours and 16 minutes remaining on this battery. It does have a built-in wireless connection card and I'm connected to my home Wi-Fi with it. And on the actual laptop, we can disable that up here if for some reason we needed to break our security connection. Or say for example, we let the scammers called and said, oh, your computer's infected, we need to log into it. And you were naive enough to let them in, and then at 5 minutes after you let them in, you realize, oh my gosh, I'm talking to scammers. You could press this button right here and it would break your internet connection. So they would lose their connection to your computer, and then you could try to go in and undo whatever they did. Hopefully you won't do that, but it happens all the time. My customers call me all the time with the scammer on the other phone. This right here is the mute button to mute the built-in audio. And the speakers, it does have built-in speakers in this laptop, but they're not very loud. If you're gonna be like watching YouTube videos or something, I would recommend using headphones or desktop speakers or some type of Bluetooth speakers, because the internal speakers are just enough to let you know that something's playing. All right, not really gonna get into the software in this particular video, because I want to show something special about this laptop. The first thing I need to do is I need to show you my power settings. So I'm going to click on my start button. I'm going to go into control panel. I'm going to scroll down to where it says power options right here. And the main thing I want to do is see where it says choose what closing the lid does. Choose what closing the lid does. And I have modified these settings. Normally it would closing the lid would put it in the sleep mode or hibernate mode. And here I said when I close the lid, do nothing. So the screen is on now. If I close the lid, it does nothing. The screen stays on. Whether it's running on the battery or whether it's plugged into AC. So that's my screen settings for this particular computer. So if you're done using this computer and you intend to put it back in your laptop bag, don't close the lid thinking it's going to shut itself off. It's going to stay on, and that's on purpose. All right, so the reason we have those power settings set up that way is because of this. All right, so I'm going to close the lid. Notice the screen stopped shining when the lid got mostly closed. This screen is off, screen is back on, right? At some point the screen shuts off, but the laptop is still on. So me and my wife, she's holding the camera, I'm holding the laptop. We're gonna pick up the laptop and we are gonna walk over here. You're gonna come around me. And we have a docking station set up. So we have monitor number 1, monitor number 2. These are 22-inch Dell business class monitors or screens. These have multiple video inputs on the back. They have a VGA, they have a DVI. I think they have either an HDMI or DisplayPort connection on the back as well. So multiple ways to connect to these monitors. And each of these monitors are connected to this docking station. This is the VGA connection. I know it's dark back here, but this is normally blue. This is the DVI connection. This would normally be white. In this case, it's a black connection. And then this third wire, this is our power cable. This is the power supply that supplies the dock. This is a 230 watt power supply that just feeds the docking station. If the laptop was running in solo mode, just the laptop itself, it would use this power supply. This is a 150